Hello Greenstylers, Cynthia here today with a sewing tutorial for Greenstyle's Mimosa Swimsuit. This is our elegant one-piece swimsuit with ruching at the waist and a beautiful one-shoulder design. Join me as we put together a Mimosa swimsuit that you will love to wear all summer long. The Mimosa swimsuit is designed for swim fabric with 75% horizontal and at least 50% vertical stretch. And here are the pieces that you'll need to cut. Now before you begin cutting, I'd like to point out this note on your pattern pieces, pinned to fabric right side up. This is pretty standard when using paper pattern pieces and will result in a suit as shown here with the strap going over your right shoulder. Of course, changing things up and personalizing is part of the joy of sewing. If you prefer to have the strap going over your left shoulder, as shown here, you can cut with the fabric facing downward. Projector users like myself might also prefer to cut with the print facing downward. What's very important though is you must be consistent cutting. The fabric must always be face up or always be face down. Now let's get to cutting. Cut one of piece B1, the front main. Choose between less coverage or more coverage leg openings, and make sure to transfer all of the notches from your pattern pieces onto the fabric, including the notches for gathering or ruching, and the number 3 notch up near the neckline. This will be a strap placement mark. Also out of your main fabric will be pieces B3 and B2, the left back and right back pieces. Again, transfer notches onto the fabric, and these will be the strap markings for the back of the swimsuit. Make sure to use the same leg opening coverage lines that you cut on your front pieces. Cut piece C1, the adjustable strap, and C2, the optional short strap. For the lining, you'll use piece L1 for the front lining piece. Use pieces B2 and B3 again for the back lining pieces. Use swim or lining for the optional shelf bra piece L2. If using swim fabric, think about which way you want the print to face when wearing the swimsuit. Here is my main swimsuit piece, and I would like the print to face inward toward my body so that the nice fabric is seen from the inside when I put my swimsuit on. So therefore I'll cut my shelf bra mirror to my main piece. Again, for the optional shelf bra, cut L2 and also L3, the shelf bra back. We'll begin by stitching some gathering stitches near the side seam of the front main piece. So here's my front main piece, this is the side seam, and these are the 2 triangle markings that I copied over from the pattern pieces. We'll do it on both side seams. Use a basting stitch, which is a straight stitch at the longest stitch length, and stitch about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge between the 2 markings. Make sure to leave your thread tails long, and then stitch a second row of stitches about 1/8 of an inch away from that first row. Try to keep both rows of stitches within the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Repeat for the other side seam. Now we have our front main piece here and our front lining piece here. We'll begin gathering until the side seam of the front main matches the side seam of the front lining piece. Once they're about the same size, adjust the gathers so that they're nice and even, and then do the same for the other side. Once you've finished gathering, set these pieces aside. If you would like to use bra cups, position them onto the wrong side of the shelf bra front and hold it up to you to adjust as needed. Then zigzag them into place. Place the shelf bra back onto the front with right sides together. Pin or clip at the side seams. Stitch using a stretch stitch or serger and a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Cut a piece of 1-inch elastic using this chart, which can be found on page 10 of the tutorial, but keep in mind that elastic can vary in quality, so check for comfort before sewing and adjust it as needed. Overlap the shelf bra elastic by 1/2 inch and stitch with an X to secure. Place the elastic onto the bottom of the shelf bra wrong side. This is the side of the shelf bra that will be facing away from your body as worn. I like to make sure that the side seams are opened up when attaching the elastic. Stitch into place along the bottom edge using a zigzag stitch. Turn the elastic up once to fully enclose the elastic, and we'll be stitching right over the first line of stitches to stitch it in place. Use a few pins to hold that elastic up against the fold line, or be careful to press the elastic against the fold line as you're stitching, just as I'm doing. Now our shelf bra is ready to attach, but we'll set it aside for now. Place the left back and right back with right sides together, pin along that center seam, and repeat for the lining. Stitch using a stretch stitch or serger and a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Place the back onto the front with right sides together and aligning the side seams. Pin or clip in place for both the lining and main. Be careful when you're pinning or clipping the main to make sure that those gathers stay nice and neat in between those layers. Adjust your gathers as necessary if those side seams aren't lining up quite right. Pin or clip the crotch seams at this time as well. Stitch using a stretch stitch or serger and a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Now let's take a quick look at how our constructed lining and constructed main should look at this point. If you're using the shelf bra, now's the time to slip it into the liner with the wrong side of the shelf bra touching the right side of the liner. Line up the strap and the top edge and pin or clip into place. Baste along the entire top edge. Now slip the liner into the outer with wrong sides touching. Line up all of the top edges and also the leg opening edges. Pin or clip into place. Now we'll baste all of these edges so that we'll have one swimsuit. If you haven't already, cut your 3/8 inch leg opening elastic and top edge elastic using this chart, which can be found on page 10 of your tutorial. Again, be aware that elastic can vary in quality, so check for comfort and adjust as needed. Make a loop with your leg elastic and overlap the ends by 1/2 inch. Use a straight stitch and stitch in the shape of an X, or use a zigzag stitch to secure. Pin the elastic to the wrong side of the swimsuit, so that will be the lining side. I like to begin at the side seam and pull the elastic just taut along the front of the leg opening. So you don't want it loose, but you don't want it stretched either. Pull it taut all the way to the seam that leads to the back and half of the swimsuit. At this point, I'll find that the back half of the swimsuit will require a significant amount of stretching of the elastic to attach it to the swimsuit, which is what I want. I want all the stretching to be on the back half of the suit so that the swimsuit cups my rear end and holds everything in place. Stretch it evenly and pin in several places so that your elastic is evenly stretched throughout the back half. Now we have a happy little leg opening. Use a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine to attach the elastic. Fold once towards the wrong side of the suit so that the elastic is fully encased. And you can use a few clips just like before to make sure that that elastic stays butted up against the fold line. Use a stretch stitch or cover stitch to stitch in place. Repeat these steps for the other leg opening. Now we'll attach the elastic to the top of the suit using the same strategy. Beginning at the top of the strap, 3/4 inch from the top. So note that there is a space between the elastic and the top of the fabric, and that should be about 3/4 inch. Attach the elastic to the wrong side of the suit. So what you see facing up there is the shelf bra. Pin the elastic on by stretching evenly, and just like with the leg opening, I prefer to pull taut along the strap and top of the front, and then place most of the stretch throughout the back. Stitch using a zigzag stitch. Turn the elastic down one time toward the wrong side and pin or clip into place. Top stitch using a stretch stitch or cover stitch. Turn the top of the strap down 3/4 of an inch toward the wrong side. We're going to stitch across to hold it in place using a stretch stitch. A triple straight stitch or a lightning bolt stitch work well here. Make sure to back tack at the start and end of your stitch to secure. For the straps, we'll take one of our strap pieces and fold in half lengthwise with right sides together. Stitch along the length with a 1/4 inch seam allowance and using a stretch stitch or serger. Add elastic to the seam allowance using a stretch stitch or serger. I like to have a little extra bit of elastic hanging off the end to aid in turning. Turn right side out using your turning tool of choice, mine being a safety pin. If you're making the optional short strap, repeat these steps for that strap as well. Now we'll cut a little 2-inch piece off of the longest strap, and this will hold the ring part of our slider set. So measure 2 inches, and if you have some excess elastic hanging off the end, don't include that in your measurement. We'll just clip that right off. Now fold this little piece over the ring part of the slider set. We'll place it onto the wrong side of the back at the marked location number 1. I find my strap to be a little bit thick to layer on top of itself, so I offset mine slightly in order to stitch it into place without that strap being too thick. When you stitch in place, make sure to stitch back and forth several times to secure, and then you will have a nice little holder for your ring. Now take your slider and your longer strap. With the front of the strap facing towards you, thread it through the bottom from the back, over the center bar, and then back in through the top. Only pull about 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch of the strap through the slider. You just need enough to fold it down toward the back and stitch in place. We'll stitch right along here to hold the strap in place, using a straight stitch and stitching back and forth to secure. And here's how it looks now. We have the slider at the bottom and the end of the strap is stitched in place. I'm holding it with the front of the slider facing me, and also the front of the strap is facing towards me as well. Find the end of the strap, and we're going to bring it through that loop with the wrong side of the strap facing forward. So right there is the seam of my strap. That is the back of the strap facing toward me. Now bring it back up so that the front of the strap is now facing towards me. And we're going to slip it through the bottom of the slider, bringing it from the back toward the front. Pull it all the way through. And once again, we're going to go over that center bar, and we're going to bring it into this top opening of the slider from the front to the back. And just like that, you now have a functioning slider and an adjustable strap. But we still need to attach the other end of that strap. So take the end of the strap and feed it through the strap channel that you created in a previous step and back down to the marked location number 2 on the back of your swimsuit. This will be the left marking in case you didn't number them. Stitch in place using a straight stitch and stitching forward and backward to secure. If you're using the optional short strap, now is the time to stitch that into place at the back of your suit as well. The location for that is labeled number 3, and it is right next to this strap marking for your other strap. Try it on first before attaching it in the front. That way you can adjust the length if necessary. And with that, you have completed your very own Mimosa swimsuit. Thanks for sewing along with me. I can't wait to see what you've made. When sharing your makes, please remember to use hashtag GSMimosa so we can find your makes and comment on their loveliness. Until next time, happy sewing from me and all of us at Greenstyle.